Okay, we are live. Welcome to How to Build Your Own Home. Every Thursday, as some people come on, I have an interesting story that is a learning for a lot of you, and it has to do with quality time cost. And I'm going to show you why that is so important. Today, I came to a job site. As I was pulling up into town, I saw a big truck with some trusses on the truck, and I said to myself, I wonder where those trusses are going. Lo and behold, I follow all the way through this town, small town called Santa Clara, and it's exiting Santa Clara. I go, I wonder where these trusses are really going. And come to find out, they're coming to my job site. And I always try to teach the truss plant, please do a site measurement before you manufacture the truss. Site measurement means the framer is chalk lining everything so that the truss plant comes out and measures everything and guarantees everything's all hunky-dory. So I get to the job site and my framers are chalk lining and the trusses are arriving. So the truss plant obviously did not listen. And this goes to quality time cost. So you're dealing with a client or subcontractor that's not doing it the way you want, which is quality, and they're trying to push the time frame up because they want production, and then they come and drop off the trusses 2 weeks early in the hot weather, which is not my cup of tea. So my daughter calls me, they're running the job, and they said, Dad, did you call the truss plant and order the trusses early? I said, no, I did not. So they're having it out with the truss plant. Why do I say this is quality time cost? Because we went with a truss plant strictly on cost. I used another truss plant for years, and I have since given my contact information out for that truss plant. And I know the people who work there. I know Kate, I know Joe, and I know all these people, and they've done multiple homes with me. But they're just a little bit more money, but they do a site measure. They either come out and measure the chalk lines or they measure top of wall. Whichever your preference, I prefer top of wall, but that's not always very easy. So chalk line is just fine. And when they deliver them right when you need them, and they come with a crane. So they will set those trusses on the top of the wall. They won't just roll them off to be dried out in the sun for 2 weeks. That's what you get when you go for strictly cost. You suffer in a lot of other areas. And that's why I hammer this down, quality, time, cost, over and over and over again. And every time you go for cost, just about every time, you're going to run into situations like this. And you're going to assume that they're going to meet the same quality or the same time frame, the same time, everything, and they're not. They're going to go for cost. And they want production. They got an order. They don't care. They're going to put that thing in production, keep their people busy, and they'll care a little less for what the quality is or the time factor. So again, I run into this every day, folks. Every day I run into situations like this where I said, yeah, we made the wrong choice. We chose cost over everything else. And that was the deciding factor that made things go bad. So I don't know who's trying to call me. So let's take some questions real quick. Again, if you have any questions, it's really, really hard for people to understand quality time cost. But I keep telling stories that help you make wise decisions. That your main goal is quality. Your second one is time. Like today, a time factor surfaced. I have a flooring company coming in on the 3rd, I believe, of next month. And I was kind of concerned with that because we can get started now. But my client, a brilliant client, texted me and says, hey, they said that they can be here, it will be on the 3rd still, but I feel there will be less traffic if they start then. And it would actually save and preserve the floor. And he was right. And plus I have 5 bathrooms in the home. So my tile guy is kind of making a mess and controlling things. And I don't have to worry about all that mess tracking over that wood floor. Good point. Again, quality, time, cost. And that's where time wasn't so pressing that we had to get it done. We can actually push that one off, let a lot of mess take place, and let the talent guy dominate the scene for just a little bit. And then our cabinet guy said that he won't be ready for a later time anyway. So it worked out just great. And if you let time dictate everything, your immediacy, your impatience, that's going to be a deciding factor too to making bad decisions. So that's why you defer to quality. Quality has to come first. And his concern was maintaining the quality of the floor with less traffic. Great concept, very true. So again, write that on a piece of paper, put it on your clipboard, put it on your desktop. Every time you're taking your clipboard to a job site, just put quality, time, cost, always in that order and together. Not that you invert them, but they have to go together. So let's take some questions because I wanted to really reiterate that, and I'm getting backlogged with questions already. So we'll go ahead and start with some of those. Keith, have you ever had an issue where a delivery truck couldn't get to the job? A couple of lots I was looking at seemed to be almost impossible to get anything bigger than a box truck there. Yeah, that can be a hassle. One of the things I've saw, like in a job I just recently, I'm getting really close to the end on, we had to do a shortcut through the parcel. We had to take out a couple of trees so that cement trucks and everything can get up there. Just see if there's another pathway you can carve, and then you delete that pathway and go with the traditional road that you wanted in. That's one way. If it's too steep, still seeing if you can't get another way in. If you notice, a lot of construction sites, they'll have a back entrance for a construction site with a track pad so that big heavy trucks can get in that way. Is there a back way to get in? Is there a shared easement or another parcel? Possibly. Look at all your options and double check to see if you can't make it a little easier for them to get in there.
Remember that one lot that was on a hill, very steep, and we had to use the HOA's construction road, even though they didn't want us. And we had to talk to the HOA really and try to smooth them. And
yeah, I've run into some nightmares like that.
That back road. Okay, this next one.
My wife's talking about a parcel I had to buy for a client for $15,000 just so we can get access through the parcel. Wasn't fun.
Oh no, I'm talking about another one. The one by
there's another
Stonecliff.
one. Yeah.
Okay, this is a 3-part question.
Okay. I received a quote today for about 20 casement windows with extension jambs for $40,000. I know we've talked about ordering windows from manufacturers overseas. I wanted to see if anyone had found a reliable window manufacturer overseas that I could order from, and it didn't require me to fly out of China. Is there a 3-part? I did also ask them to give me a quote without the extension jambs. The extension jambs shouldn't cost you that much money. Go back to the original question. 20 casement windows. 20 casement windows. That's almost what is that? $1,000. That's $2,000 a window. That's averaging $2,000 a window. That's very pricey.
Unless she has like big windows and some regular and then some
windows. I don't know what the design of the home is. Ask them what the price is without the extension jambs, because you're probably putting insulation on the home, and see if you can't just flash that with other products. Ask them what the price is without that, and if it's less than $5,000 or something like that, that could tell you probably would do better if you just flashed it. So ask them, just find out what the different price is going to be. But I don't like to. I don't. Overseas is hard. It's hard to do. You really don't know what you're going to get. I had a student I did a video on. He ordered windows over the seas, and they came with the glass outside the frame. So he had to install the glass in the frame. Pretty brutal labor. So again, you just don't know what you're going to get when you order overseas, especially China.
Sometimes we had too many windows, so we just closed up a window to save on windows. But you have to have windows for bedrooms, so.
Okay. David Parker 2173. That's an easy one to remember. Is there a refrigerated water system for a PEX concrete ceiling? I fear low-grade PEX. Who makes the highest quality PEX? I could never afford concrete embedded PEX to fail. Yeah, I'm not a fan of any kind of failure like that. I just did a video a couple days ago, and I'll show you a picture. And it had to do with, if I can do it. That's it there. I'm just doing a little video, some B-roll. That there's a house, a bathroom with heated floor, and there's the switch for that. You turn the switch on, and it will heat that floor in that bathroom. The only a flooring heating system, and I'm only focusing on heat, is in cold climates. So if you're a climate that's 9 to 10 months of the year cold, like where I live right now, then bathrooms, if you're just doing mini splits, well, the bathrooms are going to stay cold and you don't have forced air. Then I put those elements in the bathrooms. And usually you can actually turn those on and there'll be a low grade heat and they can leave them on while you're enjoying the home. When you leave, you turn them off. But they have a thermostat on them, so they don't need to go that hot. So that's something to think about if you just need to heat in the bathrooms. But I don't like trying to heat and cool through the floor only. Just doesn't work necessarily. I love forced air. In the desert, you want the air to be moving up above you, and you want the forced air above you and all that. In the cold climates, you want air movement from below. You want the heat to come from below in the floorboards or in the slab. So again, that it's really different. And so, like, for example, if you're trying to do a refrigerated cooling system in the slab and it's a desert environment, that's not necessarily the most efficient way to do that. So I know it's tempting, it looks simple, and it might be great, but if you try to do any remodeling and you end up cutting into that system, you're toast. The whole thing is gone. So, Honey Caffeina, hello, 4897. What order should finishing a concrete floor be so damage from other trades doesn't happen? Make sure your drywall plastics everything. If your drywaller can plastic everything, then what you're going to save is the fine particulates of silica from the drywall aren't going to cake and bake into that finished floor concrete. And if it does, it has to be power washed and vacuumed. It's not easy. It's really, really difficult. So if they can plastic that whole thing, they do it for the garage for the most part, but they don't do it for the main home. So I tell them to do it for the whole main home, plastic everything. And it's the drywall that is the messiest. I hate the messiness of drywall. It drives me up a wall. And I one of these days, I hope to find a drywaller who doesn't make such a mess. But I haven't found one yet. So the order should be to get that drywall tape and textured and protected, and all the sanding done. Once all the sanding's done, you can pull that plastic up, and the painter's going to come in, and they'll clean up everything anyway as well. So I hope that helps you out.
Okay, Dixie has two really, really good questions, but we'll start with this one.
Okay, we just bought our lot, and lately we are feeling really discouraged about building because of everything happening in the world right now. In your experience, what are the red flags to watch out for? Okay, here's the biggest red flag is a sudden drop in interest rates. I mean, that is the biggest red flag. I'll ask my wife, what happens when the interest rate drops a point to 2 points?
Then there's a higher demand for people buying homes.
Yeah, suddenly there's a huge demand.
But they already have their lot. They already bought their lot. All right.
My dog needed to go out really bad. Yeah, if the interest rates drops really drops like that, that'd be another one. During the COVID era, there was a lot of free money. And so that free money was floating around. And as a result, everybody was doing a project at home. So if there's suddenly a great boom in building and projects and stuff like that, then you're going to see prices go up. You're going to see harder to get subcontractors because they're going to be too busy. Right now, you don't have that. Right now, you have subcontractors that are hungry. There's not much building going on. Building starts are really low in most parts of the country. And so you're getting a better deal on quality being affordable or within your reach than 2.5, 3 years ago. So that's the biggest red flag. And other than that, I can't see any other red flag. You could see that oil, it could go, if oil goes to $130 a barrel to $150 a barrel, that could be a big issue because that's now 50% in above what it was just a little bit ago. And that's going to be for delivery of materials, stuff like that. So I'd watch out for that. I haven't seen that much of a price spike so far, but it could come. But I wouldn't let that fear you. To me, it's the lower interest rate, not being able to get contractors, and then we had lumber at 28% higher cost. That's actually 31% higher during the COVID era than we do now. So lumber prices are down substantially compared to that high. And why? Why was it high? Because there was a flood of money in the market. And when there's a flood of money in the market, it depreciates it increases the cost of everything because there's more money dollars going after those things. Well, I'll pay you another $100 if you do that. Well, I've got money. I'll pay you this. And that's what happens when there's more liquidity in the market. So study markets and study interest rates and the impact of those interest rates. It's a boom in the economy, but it's an inflationary boom. And you want to watch out for that.
And I would say, like right now, wouldn't you say with, I don't know if it's tariffs or whatever, but like appliances, it takes a little bit longer to get some of the supplies, especially if it's from overseas. So you want to have your timing and your schedule flexible, because we just had somebody order appliances and it's like a month out.
Yeah, my wife and I, we went with a company in the States called Z-Line, and it was a company that makes appliances. You can look and check them out, but it was created by a builder who got tired of the waiting around for appliances. So he created a company. It's called Z-Line. They make stoves, refrigerators, dishwashers, everything. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and they're a luxury brand, though. They're not the economical brand. They're less expensive than the high end, like the Wolf.
Right.
The Wolf stove and stuff like that, but they're not as expensive and just as good quality.
Yeah. And they're manufactured here in the States. So check out Z-Line. Kind of something interesting. Good question there.
And then I'm just going to do her other one since she's right here.
We also have our cost breakdown, and the plans as is hit the top of our budget. Should we plan to build something smaller in case there are more costs, or would what we feel we need and risk? It depends on if you actually have your contingencies all factored. If you have the budget that I've given in the program and you've allowed for the contingencies where they are mapped out in that budget, you should be fine. So
yeah, how to build or self-manage if you have your contingencies, but still, for me, I would be a little nervous. But yeah. Do you have those contingencies, the 10% and then your excavation, another contingency in that one? Let us know.
Kelly Jones, 3808. Hi, Keith. How much should engineering cost for a 2,900 square foot house with a full basement and attic trusses? 29. If you use I have an engineer in the program, and he's licensed about 49 states or so, somewhere in that range. So 20, I can tell you what his costs are. 29 times. His costs are around $5,000, not more than 6. Could be 4,700, somewhere in that range. It could be even lower. Depends on what state you are. And he'll bump it up a quarter, like 25 cents up or down, based upon where you are. Like if you're in Hermosa Beach, California, with a very complex building code requirement, he's going to increase his costs a little bit because they have seismic issues. They have all kinds of other issues there. But if you're in the panhandle of Texas and it's kind of free willy, any way you want, not much of a building code requirement there, then he would charge a little differently. And I kind of know that about most engineers. So I don't know where you're building, but it'd be around the 4,700 to the 5,800 in that range for him. Others could charge more. So if you got an engineer and you're building in LA County, that engineer is probably going to charge double what he would charge. So, okay, JC8555, I guess. Difference between bat insulation, open spray foam, and closed spray foam. Is it worth to spend the extra money for spray foam? No, it's not. In fact, I would actually go for a net and blow over all of those. Net and blow is packed, it's rigid, it's not going to settle. The spray foam goes in a little bit wet, and it's going to dry, it's going to expand. But then when it's done expanding, closed cell foam has a tendency to shrink. And so I've seen a lot of foam, especially wet applied foam, it will shrink the top part of a wall almost 2 inches, sometimes more. So you're going to have an area that's not even insulated over time. And I can show you video and pictures of that, of an actual attic I did years ago, and I have access to that attic, and I can show you where it will actually shrink. So net and blow is my favorite. I don't like bat. It's just so hard to get in. And then there's too much of a tendency for voids and gaps inside that bat structure, especially around outlet boxes and switches and stuff like that. When you have a net and blow, you blow it in and it gets all the way around there and back behind there. It's a lot more efficient. And they can pack it full, a lot more fuller than a bat situation, because with a bat situation, it's really flat. With net and blow, that netting can actually bow just a little bit. So when the drywall gets pushed on there, it's nice and firm, and it's got a really good continuity of insulation behind there. So look into net and blow. It's probably a much better one than those three. And you can do fiberglass, net and blow.
Okay, a two-part question.
Cash flowing a home build and running out of money about right now. Finishing up flooring and baseboard, which will essentially leave final plumbing, final HVAC, septic, and finishes. Since plumber and HVAC already started, is it going to be a problem delaying them another 3 or 4 months to finish? I started the build in December. No, just check with your building official and see how long your permit has been operating. More than likely, you're close to 8-9 months, and you're coming up on the year, which means that you have another 2-3 months. If that's the case, I'm just guessing as to where you are, but you can get another 6-month extension with the building permit office for the most part. And then if you wanted to hold that off and cash flow the rest, you can do that. So it might be better and advantageous to just hold off and just wait just a little bit and get the cash to do it all. So good question.
Good question.
Is there an industrial steel door with a Decorus residential stamp on it? Interesting question.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. You could get an industrial door and then ask some metal worker to put some decor on it if you wanted to, but I don't know. Those are two separate scenarios. Those big, huge steel doors you see in hotels and restaurants and stuff like that. Those are different breeds, and that's just a commercial component that I haven't tapped into much. I did have a client that put in some doors on a restaurant, and they weren't industrial steel. They were custom wood doors, and they creaked. They were not easy to install. They were terrible. So, and get the right door if you're an industrial door. If you need something that's going to open and shut a lot of the times. I don't know of an answer for that one. So just look up iron door companies in your local area, and Most of
And
those
see
are
if they
manufactured in China, so you can't beat their price. I wish somebody would manufacture them in the country so we can get them faster. When we order a custom door, it's 3 to 5 months minimum before it gets here, and we have to. That's one of the first things we order right now. So if you can find a local manufacturer, let me know. I'd like to know. Your perspectives are invaluable. Thank you so much. You're welcome. We would be interested in more guidance for sure. I've got about 25K of buffer in there, but I'm still nervous. What's the total budget? 25K
Yeah.
doesn't seem bad, but let us know the total budget, total square footage, and I can get back to you. So it's
Because
nice buffer.
25,000 isn't much, because if you're $250,000, then you've got 25.
Yeah, 250,000. That's what the build is.
$1,000 is 10%. So if your house is more than $250,000, then you need more in your contingency.
Yeah. You know, it depends. Like my daughter's running a job right now, and she's under on framing, under on excavation, she's under on labor, and she hasn't touched the contingency at all. So
Yeah, but she cushions it.
What's that?
She cushions it. She makes
Yeah.
sure she
So
stays under.
she does cushion it, but so far we haven't used it in those particular areas so far. It depends on the complexity of the site, how much dirt work's needed. If I saw the plans and I saw the site, I can kind of tell right away where you might want to watch out. If it's undeveloped land, I just did a post with my son, and if it's undeveloped land and you have to develop it, bring in power and water and dirt to it, that's a cost that could be a blind side. Versus a pad-ready home in a subdivision that's got everything stubbed to it, that's an easier situation to factor in. So I don't know what complexities you're dealing with on the build site. So
let me see if she hasn't responded yet. Okay.
Well, she'll probably respond back.
Just to let everybody know, if you're in the self-managed package, we have a Discord group with everybody, all the students in there. So go to How to Build Your Own Home. And if you've had any emails with the self-managed package, because it's a time-sensitive Discord link, I'll have to resend it to you, and I have to do it all manually. But we want you in there. The more we can talk and discuss, the better. And I would love to put people's stories on our live channel too. Okay, let me get you another one. Here we go.
Heck 37. I want to build my own home with 2x6 on exterior walls versus 2x4s. How much more would it cost, and what's your take on 2x6 versus 2x4? I never built with 2x4. The first home I built with 2x4. I don't like it. The front door made the entire home rattle. 2x6 is invaluable on a home that's 2,000 square foot. Last time I ran the numbers, it was about an $800 difference. So it's not that much. And you're going to love it more because your pipes are going to fit into it better insulation, it's quieter, the whole home doesn't rattle. It's got more meat to it. And I've seen a lot of people move to 2x8 walls now. I don't think you need to go that route. They do that up in Canada in Alaska. They'll do 2x8 walls, but you don't need to do that down in the lower 48. So do not build with 2x4. I just remodeled a home about 2 years ago, and it was a home builder in southern Utah, of which I will not mention the name. But I often ask myself, how on earth does this builder get so much work, and how do they sell so many homes? Well, I saw firsthand the entire home, and it was a new home. It was like less than 8 years old, and it was 2x4 walls, and I could see the quickness and the shoddiness of the whole thing, and everything was bat. Nothing was blow-in insulation, just cheap bats in there. Too many gaps and voids. I could feel the wall on the western side. It was warm. And you'll do that on a 2x4 wall. And if it's facing west for a couple of hours, you touch that wall, it will feel warm to you. So that's terrible insulation. So and it's amazing. Once you do remodels, you can gut in and you can actually see the value of a well-built home. So 2x6 all the way.
I hear you.
Thanks for around how much per square foot for net and blow insulation. It depends on the ceiling height, but net and blow is not that much money. It's really not. It's one of the fastest subcontractors that will come to your job site. They will net everything with some netting, and they can do that in a day. Put the netting up. The next day they'll blow it in. And if it's like a 2,500 square foot home, they could probably get that done for, I can show you some budgets. I don't have time if I can find them. But I've had, like, there's a home just behind me down the street. That whole home was budgeted at $11,000, and that's going, it's on a crawl space. So it's going to have closed cell foam blown in below. It's the only place I use closed cell foam. And then it's going to have net and blow in the walls upstairs. And then it's going to have the ceiling up top all blown in insulation. And then the flooring between the two floors will have some net and blow in there also for sound deadening. So that's not bad for 11 grand. Now, what's the size of that home, honey? 2,800, 3,200?
2,800, but that doesn't include the crawl space. So
yeah, 2,800. So it's not that bad.
So add more to that. Yeah, more square footage, because at least another 1,200 square feet.
And they're not just putting insulation in, they're putting in fire blocking. They're putting in closed cell foam in a couple of areas where outlets are for the outside, penetrations to the outside. They're sealing everything up. They're doing a pretty good job, and they'll get inspected too. So it's not something you want to try to do yourself. So Phil Cook, 9146. Do you plan on uploading any one-level house plans in the membership area? Let's see. That's a really good question. You know,
yeah, I know the architect's working on some more.
My architect's working on some. I think I have one that's really an open vaulted situation. It's on my website. You can check that out at kelschconstruction.com. I've done 2 or 3 homes that are kind of single level patio homes. And I'll talk with Denny, not Denny, but Lonnie, my architect. He's kind of eager to do this. If we can have 10 patio, 10 second floor, a handful of multi-generational, a handful of affordable, a handful of ADU rental, mixtures, stuff like that. If we can do that, it'd be very helpful, because you won't find these plans anywhere. Like on the ADU one we did with 2 ADUs, you won't find that anywhere. On the multi-generational home that's specifically designed for 2 families, you're not going to find that out there. So these are really unique plans. And my wife and my daughter-in-law are busy uploading those plans. And I think we got 2 more uploaded, right?
I know we're working on 2 more. So
yeah, we're working on 2 more.
I don't know if they're finalized.
Yeah. I'm going to take a screenshot of this real quick, and I'll send it to Lonnie.
Yeah, I know we got most of it uploaded. I just don't know if it's complete. I guess I could pull it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Raul Roberts, 2024. Hi, Keith and Melissa. Regarding the attached RV garage on that project built by your daughter and son-in-law, how did they take care of ventilation of diesel fumes? The garage door has to be opened up if you're going to run anything. Plus, they don't plan to operate that diesel engine inside that garage. And if they do, it's going to be pulled in nose first, and then it will exhaust out through that door. But other than that, there's no need to run that while you're in the car. For the same reason you wouldn't run a car inside the garage unless you had the garage open. Like you're a tinkerer and you're tinkering on a dragster, you open up that garage door to vent out the exhausts. Same thing with the diesel. So Vike Aragon 505. Hope I said that right. Thank you. I'm just nervous. The plumber in HVAC, which happens to be the same guy, is going to want to change the price. I already paid 2/3 of the plumbing and half of the HVAC price. not if he already has the parts selected and purchased. If it's HVAC, then it's the condenser unit and the main blower unit. Mainly it's probably the blower unit if that's not already installed. If it's the condenser, ask him to if he's already purchased that. If he's already purchased that, then good. You can tell him what you're trying to do and just be honest. I'm trying to cash flow this. Can you hold that just for 2 months, 3 months, and we'll get this all finished? Just ask him, and he should be able to help you out. With plumbing, most of those fixtures will have been purchased already by now. He's just making the connection of the toilet, tubs, showers, stuff like that. He's just making connection. You're going to find that with subcontractors like mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, etc., most of their charge is up front. All right. For several reasons. First of all, it's cost intensive, meaning a lot of supplies, a lot of labor to get the mechanics inside the guts of the home. The finish is nominal, and that's going to be a lesser cost unless they don't do the air handler and the condenser unit until the very end. Then that can be a little costlier. You want to talk with your HVAC guy and find out where he is and what he's already got on the job site. Okay.
Okay. Brady makes an interesting point in his area.
My area requires 2x8 to get R30 without foam or exterior insulation. I like exterior insulation though. He's bringing up a really good point. It's either 2x6 and the exterior insulation to meet new insulation code that's taking over the country, or you up it up to a 2x8 wall for the added insulation, which to me is not advantageous. You lose square footage and it's easier to just put that insulation on the outside, and it's continuous insulation. If you bump it up to 2x8s, then it's not continuous. And so I'm probably with Brady. I would just go with the 2x6 and add it on the outside, and I get a full continuous envelope on the home. I don't know why people would just bump that up to 2x8. It's kind of dumb, because wood is not a good conductor, and you can take any thermal measuring device, and you can see that the studs conduct heat through the studs. They're not a good insulator. So I'd get a full blanket on the outside if I could. Thanks, Brady, sorry.
Okay, this is a good question. I appreciate it. Can you do a 5-minute guide on how best to use the Discord? I find it slightly overwhelming with information. Okay.
Let my wife do that.
So, I don't know. I have it on my laptop, and I don't know if you can see it very well. And maybe I'll put it somewhere. Maybe I'll do a little run through. But when you're on, so I have a whole bunch of Discords, so ignore that. You should just have the how to build your own home. And then to the left, there's different channels like introduction, welcome, onboarding, announcements if I have anything. And then there's the photo updates with people that are in the middle of their build and showing off their photo updates. And then we have owner builder basics, where you have like getting started. Then we have one on budget and financing, permits and zonings, house plans. Because if you upload your house plan, then everybody can look at it and give you some insight, because there was one that was missing a bathroom, not on here. It was another one like missing a bathroom in the master bedroom, and another with the windows. You didn't have any windows that were opening up. And so we can help you out with the house plans. And then design, construction materials. So you just come to the side and start. If you have any questions, you can put it in there. We have troubleshooting. And then if you want to meet up with some of the people in your area, we have it broke out to like the Northwestern group, the Southwest, Midwest, Northeast, Southeast, Pacific Northwest, International. Just so a few of them have met each other on here, and they're using the same subs, stuff like that. So, or things that they're running into with the state or their local area. And then we just have some fun social things like off-topic chat, events and meetups. and then just, yeah, different events. And I'm working on some other things. I'd like to bring some of you on the live show, so we're working on that too. And I'd love to do stories. So I have one over here, like your story for the live show. I hope that helps. If you have anything else, please let me know, and I'll do a video and put it in the course for how to build your own home. Maybe that'll help. But I appreciate you. I didn't realize that it wasn't understandable.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like that on your phone, just scrolling down and seeing topics. And then you can go to a topic like your story for live show. And then you see everyone's comments. And then you can see people will upload pictures. Like here's a good example. This one here, lessons learned. You go to lessons learned and people see all kinds of pictures and comments on there. You can actually upload, like someone just uploaded a picture of there was a separation in a foundation wall. And is there any other better way to fill that up other than great stuff? So people are commenting on there. So it's very helpful for the community.
And if you're looking for something specific, there is a search bar at the top right. It says search how to build your own home. So if you have a specific question that somebody might have already been talking about, you can go into that search bar and type in foundation or utilities or whatever you want, and things will come up. So you can search it, and that's easier because it is a lot of information that people have already gone through, but they're all in there to help, and it's fun. And I'm working on it to have a lot more connections and fun. I'm more of the off-topic fun. Keith is the one with all the knowledge. Okay.
You can even post stuff about your animals if you want to. Okay. Thank you.
Kim Winter. We started our build in northern Oklahoma. We are using foam in the walls and ceiling, not the floor in the attic. Do we still need vents, and what location? I'm getting many ideas.
Yeah, you're going to have some humidity there in Oklahoma, especially with your monsoons and stuff that come up from the Gulf of Mexico. You're going to want to do some ventilation in that stem wall, but double check with your local building official on that. I'm always in favor of venting the stem wall. I don't always ventilate my roofs depending on the climate I'm building in, but in the stem wall, if you can get some, I learned an interesting lesson. You'll see it in the training video and the self-managed course on building science. I actually take you through an old pioneer home, and they had a little hole about that big underneath the cabinets, and there was wire mesh over the top of it. That was to keep bugs out, but it was also to allow for ventilation to come in through the home. It was on a stem wall, kind of a rock stone stem wall. And that taught me really quick. That one lesson taught me, now I know how those pioneers built homes to make them last. They just made them drafty deliberately so that nothing could get wet and then sit and mildew and rot. They wanted it to get wet but dry off real quick. So that's the advantage of letting things dry off and having a ventilated stem wall, is allowing for that ventilation to take place. So some vents are going to be advantageous. And because of that, during the cold winters, you're going to want to insulate that floor above, because that ventilation is going to make that floor cold. So in our Pioneer, we have a Pioneer home, and when you walk inside that Pioneer home during the winter, that floor is cold because we have not insulated that floor. With something we'll have to do sometime, but we still haven't done it.
She also has PS no ridge vents now.
Yeah, ask your roofer, depending on the roof you're installing. Like I just met my roofers yesterday, and they're putting a ridge vent on a job across the valley with the aluminum shingle roofs that I do all the time, and they figured out a way to do it, and I was really happy. And so any kind of penetration for keeping the home dry is advantageous, especially in a humid place where you live. And the worst thing you can have happen is moisture to not have a place to dry out, and you want to avoid that. Let me give you a good example. I had a client, one of my first jobs I did 15, 18 years ago. And about 2 years into the home, after we finished the home, they were complaining of a leak in the attic. It wasn't coming through the house. It was just in the insulation. And what was happening is the vent for the heating unit came up through a dead space. And when it was cold in that attic and you had that vent come up that was warm, condensation would cling to it and it would drip down onto the insulation. That's what one of the reasons why that happened is because there was no air movement inside that to keep that flue dry. That's how important ventilation is if it's done right. That's why I'm not a fan of sealing up your home so bad and so much. I say bad because it can be really bad. You can create a cold condensing surface without knowing it, which means in simple parlance, in simple building science, heat chases cold. So if it's cold inside, 72 degrees, and it's 105 outside, and there's a leak somewhere in the wall somewhere, it's going to get inside. The minute that heat reaches that cold condensing surface, it could be a wire, piece of plastic, something, it's going to condense on there and it's going to start to mold and rot. That's why trying to seal up your home so much is risky business, because if you don't get it done right, you could cause a serious problem. So remember, heat chases cold. If you're in a hot climate and you keep a home cold inside, it's especially damaging. And then if it's a home that's kept warm, 72, 85 degrees during the winter, or it's cold outside all the time, 20, 30, 40 degrees cooler than that, and even worse than that, you're going to have that heat wanting to chase out to that cold. So.
Okay, here we go.
What do you think about sun tunnel skylights to light rooms? It's a great way to bring in light. You risk the issue of a possible leak. Anytime you make a penetration from the roof, you risk that. But you also decrease efficiency on the home. So when those sonotubes go up, you have a 6, 9, 10, 12-inch diameter tube going up, and it's going to be cold up there in the winter. It's going to be super hot up there in the summertime, because there's no way to insulate that. You can't insulate air against air. It's going to transfer down into there. So there's a measurable deficiency and efficiency when you do install them, but they're sure nice. They bring in light at the right spot. And I've got a client that wants to put one in. So I've got to actually design that. Ooh, I've got to catch that real quick because my roofers are there. Thank you for reminding me that. Great information. Do you recommend to install water filter systems or RO systems for the new house? If yes, any brand you will recommend. I don't like putting salt in my water. Okay. If I can do something else without salt, I would do it. But the salt does soften the hardness of a water, so it doesn't cling and build up on your soft water parts. We did a video of a company that does something different than RO or soft water, and I think it's called can't remember the name of it, the name of the technology. If it comes to me, I'll remind myself. But there's also filter systems. There's one that's called a citric filter system, and then I put that on this home because I didn't need to go full on soft water because we have natural spring water. It does have some hardness to it, but the filter system, I just change that out every year, take it out, put a new filter cartridge in it, and it seems to do okay for me because I don't have any fluoride or anything in the water system that I'm pulling from. If I had that, then I would be doing a different water system entirely, a different filter system. Depends, like you're in Flint, Michigan, what are you going to do? You're going to have to put some serious filtrations on there to capture, Gad's arsenic and all kinds of stuff that's in the water. So find out your water quality in your area, and that could tell you something. Okay.
Okay, this is a two-part.
Any opinions on these metal post frame structures for garages? Client sorry, my phone was ringing. Client was found company in Utah, altitude steel structures, willing to do the garage for low price, installed with metal siding roof. Yeah, it's just gonna not be a very good insulator, and then roll up doors. I know it's cheaper materials like the exposed fastener, metal roof, and metal panel siding, but for the garage, are they good? For the garage, it's not too bad. But if you ever found like you wanted to convert that garage to something, you're going to have a shell system that's going to be conducting heat and cold at various times of the year. But if you're okay with that as a garage, that's fine. But for a home, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay.
Okay. I don't know if this one.
Dark Varian 2194. Interesting. Took your management course. Engineers and architects keep telling me that exterior insulation might be required for OmniBlock. No, it will not. And that New York State code doesn't care about the thermal mass, only raw R value. Talk to Denny on that. He can give you actual specifications on that. And they don't understand thermal break. They don't. It's not thermal mass, it's thermal break. And you could actually argue that, yeah, we do have the full polyiso exterior foam because I've got concrete, then I've got my insulation foam insert, then I've got concrete, and then I've got foam insert, and say that foam insert is my thermal blanket. And then I've got concrete again. And just tell them that you've just have another layer of concrete on the outside of your thermal envelope of insulation on the outside of the home, and then the actual real insulation is on the inside. So he's got all the specs, and if you ever want me, I can talk with those engineers there too. But Denny he'd put them to shame because they don't understand the power of a thermal mass or a thermal break. Insulation, R value is those two things trump R value, to be honest with you. But we're trying to get a major university, I know Denny is, to do some testing to verify through a third-party analysis of the validity of what he's talking about. But he's got some good research already, and he can forward to you, and you can send it to your people there. Okay, in a high snow zone, the high wall of my monoslope house will be mostly glass and face the south. For the winter sun heat, the concrete floor. Should I do in subfloor, in-floor heating in the north facing end? Very good question. If that's slab on grade, is that for my slab? If that's a slab on grade, you're probably going to do underground heating. If you can do that, that would be beneficial. It just takes your HVAC contractor to put in the PVC piping underground and come up through the slab if you're doing slab. If you're not doing slab and it's just a wood floor, if you insulate that floor and you come up with your heating unit through that should be fine. But it's really complicated. I don't recommend in-floor heating unless you're and it's really costly. I've done some videos on it. I interviewed people. I've been to job sites on it. The cost involved is pretty much difficult. If you did a nice thermal blanket on the outside of your house, you're going to maintain a lot of that heat. And rather than putting piping in the floor, I would insulate the outside footing, whether it's a slab, stem wall. If you insulate that, you're going to create a thermal break so that the cold wicking during the winter isn't going to come through and affect the comfort of the home. The best way you can tell how uncomfortable a home is take your shoes off, take your socks off, and it's the dead of winter. Walk around the perimeter of the home. If it's colder near the footing or the exterior of the home, you know that you've got cold wicking into the home. If they have a thermal break out there, like polyiso foam inside the footing, then that's not going to wick inside the home. That's your best, most efficient use of funds rather than trying to get heating or air inside the slab.
It's a full basement foundation, he just said.
Yeah. Is that for that previous question?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
here.
A lot of basements now are doing a nice insulator and attaching it to the outside with Hilti nails, concrete nails, just attaching it that way, and then they bury it. It's not going to rot. It's not going to go anywhere. But you've got a thermal break there. This cold temperature that's 2-3 feet down, it's going to hit that polyiso foam, and it's not going to conduct nearly as much as straight onto the concrete. That there would be far more efficient than trying to heat your floor. Okay.
Just a couple more here.
Is it okay to use 2x4 for my garage wall? 3,200 square foot is 2x6, but due to the lot line and use of bricks, no wiggle room for 2x6. Will the 2x6 suffice for the attached garage wall? Yeah, it's just going to rattle really bad. It still can handle it structurally. It should be fine. But that's interesting. You're tight that many inches, 2 inches or so. So I would rather just, because if it's 3,200 square foot is 2x6. But how much was the square footage for the garage? I didn't know that. If it's a garage is typical standard, yeah, you cutting inches on that, really you feel it. When you shorten and cut down on a garage, you can really feel it. But just keep in mind, you're going to feel the rattling of that garage door when it goes up and down. You'll hear it and you'll feel it. Are you familiar with vacuum sealed wall panels, and what do you think of them? The phrase vacuum sealed scares me. I just, anytime there's a philosophy out there that's all about sealing up the home, sealing it up, and then controlling your air from the inside. I'm not a fan of that. Guys, I forget the name of it. I'll have to find this company. They're building blocks out of hemp, and they've got mineral wool on the inside of the block, and you can stack them with no mortar. And to me, that's a breathable wall. It's an extra thick wall. It's 8 inches thick, so it's breathable, and it's got incredible mass density on the inside, so it's going to hold that energy on the inside wall. Pretty phenomenal product, and it's not getting enough traction. I'd love to build a home out of that product because it's dry stacked. With Omniblock, which is a great product, you need a mason. It's typical mortar and bond beams and all that kind of stuff. This product does use bond beams, but you can dry stack it. So putting a home together like Legos is really a favorable thing, and a lot of new technologies are going to come up with that full-on panelized structure. I'm not a fan of that because my electricians always pull their hair out. Oh my gosh, how am I going to run electrical through that? This is going to be a nightmare. Oh, how am I going to run plumbing through that if I need to run plumbing? Venting, how am I ever going to vent through that wall if I have to vent through that wall? So these are questions that come to my mind when I hear of vacuum sealed with panels. So I think of too many variables that are going to make it difficult. You mentioned the net and blow insulation, but how does that compare to rock wool? Cost difference. It's more affordable than rock wool, and it's just as good. Rock wool will fend off mildew. Not going to build up mildew, and it's a fire retardant. But a lot of the fiberglass and a lot of the materials that they do a blow in are also fire retardant to a certain degree as well. But it's more affordable. I've done homes with mineral wool. I've had clients say, "Oh no, I want all my walls done in mineral wool," and they don't want any of the other. That's fine, but you're going to see more gaps and voids in the mineral wool than you will in the net and blow. So it's not perfectly continuous. Hit the thumbs up, everyone. Yes, thank you, Lynn. We appreciate that. Yeah,
Here's a thumbs up. Here's a 4-part question.
Okay. What's the best to cover up cabinet nails? Okay.
The way to do it.
I got a large built-in fridge that is pushing against the built-in cabinets when we get it level. Any suggestions? There's
Cabinet.
there's a little metal tool you can get. It's in all the tool sections, and basically it's got a little fine piece on it, and you can just hit it to push a nail through a little further. If the nail is coming through the other side, because that fridge is pushing up against everything and pushing that nail out, and if it's coming out substantially, you can just take some dikes or needle nose pliers that are really sharp, dig in there and take it out, sand it off a little bit, and put in some new stain. There's all those types of things you can do. Cabinet guys deal with a lot of that kind of stuff. And then point it out to them and ask them, hey, can you solve for this problem? And if the sooner you cite it off, the better, to let them know.
Okay, that's what we got today.
Yeah. With regard to that last question, if you see something that a subcontractor has done and it's not fixed, make sure you look through the entire home. I had some wonderful clients years ago, and we came to dinner to their house one time, and I go, where's the door on that cabinet? And they said, well, it never got installed. And he said he was going to install it. And because they wanted to make it change to a Lazy Susan, and they changed it out. And I said, okay, he'll be up there to get that done. And it didn't quite fit. And I thought it got done, and it never got done. And they never let me know. And I felt bad about this. This was like 2.5 years after the fact. So don't feel bad. Follow through with stuff. Like I have a contractor who did some stuff on a job, spilled something on some area. I'm going to make him go clean it up. And it's on my mind. It's the first thing I've got on my list to make sure I contact him tomorrow. Don't let things go. Get on top of it and let them know that you expect this to not be undone. You expect it to be done. Okay. Anyway, we're done for today. Anything you have, Mally, Melissa?
Oh, thanks. Thanks for being here. We really do like you guys a lot and appreciate you being here. We want to help you, and I want to make it more fun. So thinking of ideas. I'm getting some stickers made. So we'll do random giveaways with the stickers. And so I'm great now.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll be here next Thursday from 5 to 6 Mountain Standard Time. And until then, you guys take care. We'll see you then.
See ya.